Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes, and do we have a motion? And let's have a roll call first, please.
Commissioner Lopez,
Here.
Commissioner Dickerson,
Aye.
Commissioner Mohajer,
Aye.
Commissioner Blanco absent, and Chair Seifer.
Aye. Do we have a motion on the minutes?
I can't make it. Oh, okay. Abstain. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes for June 19th, 2024.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Chair, I'll be abstaining because I wasn't present.
And none opposed? One abstained. Thank you very much. This time, hang on 1 minute. At this time, we're going to go into the public comment period, and each member of the audience may address the commission on any subject within the commission's business that is not on the agenda. Each member of the audience and each subject is limited to discussion of 3 minutes or is otherwise directed by chair. Have anyone that wishes to speak on anything? Seeing nothing, could we check on Zoom?
I'm good. We have 7 attendees with no raised hands.
Thank you very much. Going to move
Chair
on to the...
Seifert, we do need to read, Tracy has an item to read for those who might be on Zoom and wanting to comment. So
Okay.
could you please go ahead and read that in?
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you are participating via Zoom and wish to make a public comment, please use the raise hand button in the Zoom meeting portal. If you are using a phone, press *9 on your telephone keypad, then press *6 to unmute your phone. When it is your time to speak, you will be requested to unmute your microphone and speak for the time allotted by the chair. Your microphone will be muted upon completion of your comments. Unless otherwise directed by the chair, speakers will have 3 minutes to comment. Chair Seifer, I have 1 hand raised
Okay,
via Zoom.
let's hear what they have to say. Thank you. We have 3 minutes.
Greg, you have 3 minutes to speak.
No. Actually, we're on Zoom right now. This is public comment period. Or you have something that's not on today's agenda?
The case itself.
Okay.
Greg, I'm showing you are muted at the moment. It's showing unmuted. He's not connected. Okay.
So far as not speaking.
He's not speaking at the moment. There we go.
Chair and Commissioners, we're having a little bit of an IT issue here, so I'm going to try and get in touch with IT so we can get this fixed.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Yes, Commissioner Mohajer is going to recuse herself from the first item, so we're going to switch them and let her go home early. Me too. Yes, you do.
Under there, does that go up? No? Well, minimize your screen, minimize the whole thing. No, minimize, yeah, no, one over, no, one, okay. Just the minimize, the line. Yes. Minimize it again.
So that's on my screen.
Yes.
So I think we can hear the speaker. Greg, go ahead and present your comments.
So my only comment was you guys were on mute and we couldn't hear you, so we were trying to get your attention.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So we can hear you now, it'll work, but for some reason my audio didn't work, but now it is.
Very good. Thank you. Chair, members of the commission, I'm not sure whether you were able to hear that, but the gentleman was only commenting about the audio that wasn't apparently going out at the time. So now that's been corrected.
Perfectly. We okay to move on?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to let everyone know that we are going to be switching the items around tonight. Commissioner Mohajer has a conflict of interest on the Bradley A5A, and we're going to switch it around and do the telecom first. And so item number 5B, staff, can we hear about the AT&T communication tower?
Good evening, Commissioners and the public. My name is Daisy Miranda, and I'm an associate planner with the city. Tonight, I will be presenting the AT&T telecommunication tower project at 1641 East Donovan Road. This project was introduced to the Planning Commission and the public at the August 8th study session. The 2-acre project site is located in the northeast portion of the city, just north of Donovan Road, south of the Levee Trail, east of Highway 101, and west of North Sway Road. The site proposed for the telecommunication facility is zoned PDM2, Planned Development General Manufacturing, and is surrounded by properties zoned PDM2 to the south and west, OS Open Space to the north, and PDR1 Planned Development Single Family Residential to the east. The long and narrow parcel consists of one single-family dwelling unit on the south side and a drainage landscape maintenance easement on the north side. The proposed AT&T lease area is in the center of the lot and consists of 780 square feet. Neighboring uses include a construction company to the west, single-family residential to the east, the Levee Trail to the north, and a self-storage business to the south. In 2004, the Planning Commission reviewed and approved a conditional use permit for a 75-foot cellular tower disguised as a pine tree at 1637 East Donovan Road, approximately 150 feet southwest of this project site. The site is currently co-located by T-Mobile and Dish Wireless. Verizon also has established co-location facilities on existing utility poles near the project area, which are shown in red. The existing monopine southwest of the proposed project site is the black dot seen on the screen. The purpose of this project is to close a significant gap in coverage within an area generally bordered by Seaward Drive to the north, the 101 to the west, Bull Canyon Road to the east, and Main Street to the south. In addition to providing traditional wireless services, the proposed facility will also include FirstNet, which is the frequency band set aside for first responders in times of emergencies. The project includes one 65-foot tall mono broadleaf in the shape of a eucalyptus tree with 15 panel antennas mounted at a height of 60 feet. Ground-mounted equipment cabinets, a standby generator, and additional ancillary equipment. The fenced-in lease area is 780 square feet. 1641 East Donovan Road is the preferred location as it meets the technical needs of the network at the height and precise location proposed. This location also allows for a design that will blend well with the existing landscape environment, and the property owner is interested in a long-term lease agreement with AT&T. In the next couple of slides, I've provided street view images for context. This is the project site looking north from East Donovan Road. The existing single-family residence is legal non-conforming and will remain as is. The applicant will have access to the existing 10-foot wide access path on the east side of the property to install and maintain the equipment. In this image, you can also see the existing monopine located 2 property sites over, approximately 150 linear feet away. The alternative site analysis from the applicant shows the existing facility is not a feasible option as the existing pole does not allow AT&T the required height to provide wireless service, nor does it provide a concealment method capable of supporting AT&T's design and loading requirements. AT&T would need to locate about 10 to 15 feet below the lowest carrier to prevent interference, and this is too low for AT&T to meet its coverage objectives. 3 additional sites were considered on East Donovan Road. This is a view looking southwest from the corner of North Swade Road and Anton Lane. The proposed structure would be behind the 14-foot tall CMU wall covered in vines seen on the right side of the image. Lastly, I provided a view looking west from North Swade Road as we see the project site is buffered from the single-family residential zone by a 14-foot tall CMU wall and 13 mature trees. The site plan shows a proposed structure in the center of the property. It will be set back from Donovan Road approximately 460 feet and 69 feet from Sway Road. As previously noted, the existing 75-foot monopine is approximately 150 linear feet away from the proposed facility. This is an aerial view of the 780 square foot lease area. The area will be enclosed by an 8-foot tall chain link fence with privacy slats and a security topper. The chain link fence will be behind the property line and not visible to the public. The proposed PG&E transformer and meter bank were placed outside the chain link fence because PG&E requires these facilities to be separate from AT&T's equipment. This is a perspective that would face East Donovan Road and be seen from the interior of the project site. The proposed antenna and tower steel is 60 feet tall, and an additional 5 feet are proposed for the top branches. The proposed tower will allow for co-location at a height of approximately 45 feet above ground level. The overall antenna height of 60 feet meets the technical needs for closing the significant gap in wireless service. I will present the propagation maps in later slides. This is a perspective that will be facing North Sway Road and be seen from the interior of the project site. The proposed swinging chain link gate will provide access to the lease area, and the existing 14-foot tall CMU wall will block all ancillary equipment from the public view of North Swade Road. The materials proposed align with the city's administrative guidelines for wireless communication facilities. The eucalyptus tree was chosen as it does not require a large crown to achieve a realistic look, like you may expect to see on a pine tree. This helps reduce the height and visibility of the facility. The facility will use faux bark cladding for the trunk and faux leaves for the branches. The following slides will provide photo simulations of the proposed facility. As previously discussed, this is the view looking north from East Donovan Road. The facility is approximately 460 feet from the southern property line and 370 feet from the existing single-family home seen in this image. This photo simulation provides a view looking southwest from North Swade Road at the end of the landscaping easement on the parcel. The facility is approximately 69 feet from the eastern property line and approximately 120 feet from the single-family homes on North Swade Road. This photo simulation provides a closer look of the facility from North Swade Road. The planned development height modification request of 25 feet allows AT&T to meet its coverage objectives. This side-by-side comparison of the existing LTE coverage and planned LTE coverage allows us to see that the residents on the east side of the city will receive an increase in coverage. As can be seen, the east side of the city has poor or non-existing service for AT&T customers. The areas shown in the yellow are only sufficient for on-street or in the open coverage, most in-vehicle coverage, and possibly some in-building coverage. The areas shown in purple only have sufficient signal strength for on-street or in the open coverage, but may not have in-vehicle coverage or indoor signal coverage. With the approval of this proposed facility, the east side of the city would see an increase in indoor signal available. The green areas have the strongest signal strength and are sufficient for most in-building coverage. Staff has completed a Class 3 categorical exemption pursuant to Section 15303 of the California Environmental Quality Act State Guidelines. Class 3 exemptions are for new construction or conversion of small structures. Therefore, no further environmental review is required. At this moment, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve by motion Plan Development Permit PD 2024-001 and Conditional Use Permit U 2024-002. Additionally, we received a public records letter from Mr. and Ms. Ball today. They have health and safety concerns pertaining to the structure's proximity and height to the homes basin on the north of the parcel and the mailbox station on North Swade Road. They have also addressed concerns over the emergency generator testing and use. A copy of the letter has been provided to the commissioners for review. This concludes my presentation of the proposed AT&T telecommunications tower. Thank you for your time. I am available for questions, and in addition, the applicant, Mr. Ambrose, is also in attendance and available to answer questions.
Thank you very much. Do we have any ex parte on this? Seeing none. Do we have any questions for staff? Commissioner Dickerson, please.
Can we go back to the, some of the pictures that showed the tower being put up? No, the one that, the simulated, yeah, thank you. So the one to the, for this picture, the one on the right, the picture, is that, or I guess on the left, so that's, what is that, T-Mobile's or somebody else? I mean, whose is that one on the left?
Yeah, so this one has two different companies on it. It has T-Mobile and Dish Wireless.
Mm-hmm. And have they, with those, have they been able to, I assume that when they asked to put those up, that the purpose was to fulfill their needs to for coverage in their area, which more or less matches the coverage area that AT&T is asking about. Is that correct? Frank?
Chair, members of the commission, yes, that would be most likely correct. I don't have that other proposal or project approval in front of me right now, but as typical with these telecommunication facilities, we do ask for a coverage map. They do base their need on that map, what new area they'll be able to cover with their, for each carrier. So the one tower that's existing there right now has two separate carriers on it. This one is going to be the third, and it has room for co-location in the future, potential co-location, which would be a fourth carrier.
So at this stage, the residents are covered. I mean, not with AT&T, being an AT&T customer, but with being T-Mobile and whoever it is that's attached to it. Is that probable?
I would assume that is a correct statement, yes. That other services might have coverage, but this particular carrier does not.
Right.
And that's why the request
So in
is
essence,
before
the
us.
increase in height is really being asked for as a piece of competitive commerce and not really as anything that assists the overall community because they're already covered.
I believe that's an accurate statement, but that would be accurate for each and every carrier and each and every telecommunication facility. They are commercial enterprises. However, at the same time, there's laws in place where the city has to accommodate
Right.
and actually facilitate the development of cellular coverage
Right, which we evidently have with the current one.
for 2 of the carriers, yes.
Okay, that was my question, thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioners? Commissioner Mohajer, please.
Oh, there, thank you. So regarding this email, I was just wondering, is there any way just to put on record to alleviate the potential health or mental health impacts that the tower would give to the residents in that area? I know it's stated in the report, but just to put it on record that.
So there again, state law the state has looked at these and has determined that there are no health impacts, and therefore health impacts or theories about health impacts are not something that the commission can use to make their decision.
Okay.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair,
Excuse me, yes?
if I could just contribute to the conversation in response to your
Thank you.
question, Commissioner Mohajer. Perhaps one of the concerns has to do with radio frequency emissions, which are sometimes raised as a concern, and those emissions are regulated exclusively by the Federal Communications Commission. So the applicant is required to meet federal regulations on radio frequency. The city is not able to impose stricter requirements or additional requirements. We're preempted under the federal law to have the applicant simply comply with federal law.
Okay, thank you for that clarity.
And Commissioners, I also wanted to add that with this application, the applicant submitted a checklist to us that confirms that the project is designed to meet the FCC regulations, and that's part of the application packet that we reviewed. And so it's designed to be in compliance with all of those RF radio frequency requirements that were just mentioned.
Thank you. I think the supplemental information definitely alleviates some of the concerns. So.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lopez, you have anything?
Yes.
Please go forth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Miranda, what were the other sites that were considered, and did those other sites have the same characteristics for service as this one?
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez. If you can just give me a brief second to pull up the site locations. But like I mentioned, they were all off of Donovan Road. Okay, so the other location that was considered is the one with the existing monopine in it already. And so for the reasons that I've mentioned in the presentation, co-locating was not an option. And in addition, that property owner was not open to having an additional facility on their property. The other location that was considered was 1639 East Donovan Road. That owner did have a potential interest. However, AT&T's RF engineer determined this property is less desirable than the selected location. And in addition, they were not open to a long-term lease agreement. And the third location that was looked at is 1546 East Donovan Road, where the owner was not interested in leasing for a wireless facility and was very limited in ground space.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Can I ask you, I mean, we've seen the monopines in the past over the number of years, and obviously, there's an awful lot of restrictions for us as to being able to, if we wanted to deny it or not. But I did have a question. Are we, is what we have to do is to facilitate competition, or is it strictly to facilitate coverage for our citizens? In other words, if you have one group of people that have already put up things and it basically covers all over Santa Maria for whatever reason, and then somebody else comes in as a matter of competition, do we have to allow an additional monopine to go through strictly for a matter of competition, or is it just strictly an issue of coverage?
It's an issue of coverage. The federal regulations and the case law say that each provider must be allowed to provide coverage. So as each provider comes forward, we're expected to facilitate their ability to provide coverage and to close any significant gap in coverage. So it's based on each provider, and that really kind of makes sense too. If you think about it, most people only have one carrier. So if there's different holes in different places, and you would have the wrong coverage when you're in different places. Mm-hmm. So each carrier's goal is to close all of their gaps, so that if that's your carrier, you don't have coverage gaps.
I see. Okay, so and just as a ridiculous far swing of the pendulum, in theory, if we had 30 different providers that all wanted to have coverage in Santa Maria, then in essence we would have to allow in each of these areas 30 different towers, or unless they're shared. But I mean, ultimately, each one, if they wanted their own tower, we could end up with a forest of monopines. Is that accurate?
Well, not exactly, because there is, they would each be entitled to access coverage in our city, but there's a big push in the telecommunication world, even by the FCC, for co-location. So the desire is not to have a ton of individual towers, but to have them co-locate. And so originally when this application came forward, the city was excited and hoping that they could locate on that existing tower, and then we wouldn't need another tower. But as was explained by planning, it ended up they couldn't accommodate them on that tower. So another tower is necessary. But co-location is a goal, and I'm excited to hear that on this tower there will be room for, as you're predicting, the next provider comes and says, I need to close a service gap here. Hopefully they can co-locate on this tower if it goes through.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I think we've got the questions. Does the applicant want to make a presentation? Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jerry Ambrose. My address is 3905 State Street, Santa Barbara, California, 93105. Daisy did an excellent job of discussing the project, the reason for the project, the design of the project. So I don't have anything specific to add to her presentation. I'm just here to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? I have a question about how the actual antenna works. So if you've got the big rectangle, right? So does that shoot radio waves out straight at a cone shape? How exactly does that radiate from the antenna?
So there are what we call sectors or arrays. There's 3 arrays of antennas. There's 5 each. And they combined, they cover a 360-degree diameter. But they're sectorized. So when the signal propagates from the antenna, they go out both this way, I guess like a C, and they also go this way.
So it's not limited to the size of the antenna, it radiates at like a cone or a C?
A cone,
so it
yeah.
goes
I guess it's
down.
essentially a cone, right? It's like a 360-degree cone from each antenna, and they kind of work together. And by sectorizing the antennas, it allows them to control the signal, so they're not wasting signal in areas where people aren't going to use the service.
That was my only question. Commissioner Dickerson?
So I have a question. So be it AT&T or any other provider, I mean, there was a tower, you know, we saw off to the left. Is there prime real estate on these towers? In other words, you're building the tower, obviously AT&T is going, if there is, going to take the best, you know, real estate. I mean, so for the next person that wants on this tower, is it substandard to the real estate that you've taken at the top, I assume?
And I apologize, I couldn't quite hear what you asked, something about the real estate
Well,
value?
sure, the real estate on the tower itself. In
The
other words,
vertical real estate, we would
yeah,
call it,
are there better positions on the tower and lesser positions on the tower for being able to do coverage?
Well, the way for AT&T's network, they designed it basically at the minimum height necessary to close the significant gap in coverage. So if they were any lower, they wouldn't be able to fill that gap in coverage.
No, I guess what I'm asking is if another provider comes along and wants to rent
Vertical space.
Right. In essence, are they going to be able to get as much coverage off of whatever space they rent, or as you rent it and it keeps going down further that you?
It's hard to say. I guess it would depend on the individual company. You know, right now, I think we estimated that the best sort of center of antennas for another carrier would be around 45 feet. That's pretty low, but I can't say for sure if another future carrier comes along, if that height is sufficient for them to operate. I don't know. I can tell you, back when I started like 30 years ago, there were, I think, 9 individual carriers, plus or minus, and now there's 4. So you have Dish and T-Mobile on the existing tower. You have Verizon, who has installed facility like microcells in the right-of-way in that same area. And then AT&T would be the 4th carrier.
And the microcells, those are the boxes, is that correct?
Those little things on utility poles.
Yeah.
But they only cover a few hundred feet. They don't close gaps in, like large gaps in service.
But so it's just more, it's a more pleasant technology, but it costs more to install.
The right-of-way?
Yeah, well, the micro.
I'm not an engineer, but it's my understanding that microcell development is nowhere close to the level of service that a cell tower up in the air with a full array of antennas can cover. Again, they just cover a few hundred feet.
Right.
They don't cover that far, like, so
So
they're
you
probably
have to
just
have-
covering Donovan,
Yeah, so you
just
have to
that
have
part
more-
of Donovan Road.
So you have to have more of them.
Yeah. You have to have hundreds, thousands, and, right.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I believe we approved one of those at the little store, right down the street from there. Yes. How close would so if you're at 60 feet, 65 foot, 60-foot antennas, how close would the next antennas be to you? What height would be available to
The
them?
bottom of the antennas, I think, would just, my head would be about 52 feet. So you'd have to drop 5 feet to the top of the next company. You need 5 feet of clearance because they operate on slightly different frequencies. But if they get too close, they're going to interfere with each other. So 52 to the top. So yeah, you're somewhere in the high 40s would be the next sort of available spot. Mid to high 40s, depending on how tall. Again, I don't know in the future what, you know, I think Dish uses a 6-foot antenna, AT&T uses an 8-foot antenna. AT&T also has smaller antennas that they use sometimes. So somewhere in the 40s, I would say, 40 feet, 45 to 50.
Do you know where you get your pole from? Where's that sourced out of?
The pole?
Yes.
Where is it manufactured? I don't know. Actually, if your commission approves tonight and the project is approved and we go forward, AT&T will actually bid it out to multiple tower companies, and then they'll decide down the road who gets that bid, and then, so I don't have an answer for you standing here today.
Do we still have a
Just
local?
wondered.
Do we still have a local manufacturer of that? We used to. I don't know if we still do. or
There's
not.
one in San Luis that we use quite a bit.
I see a head shaking that we still have a manufacturer here in town. Yeah, so if you could recommend that they buy locally, that would be great.
Understood.
Thank
It's a specialty, so but the one I'm aware of is in San Luis. It's pretty close. I'm not sure about Santa Maria itself.
And I have no affiliation with them. Thank you. At this time, we're going to, any more questions? At this time, we're going to go ahead and open up to the public. I don't have any written communication. We have the letter. Do we have anyone on Zoom?
Currently, no raised hands via Zoom.
Okay.
Chair, can I ask a quick question?
Yes, of course.
Was it a requirement to notify residents about this project or not?
Yes, all residents within 300 feet of the parcel were notified by mail.
Okay.
And Chair, and members of the commission, if I could clarify, it's all property owners are notified. And so that complies with the state law for noticing requirements. It goes to the property owners.
All right, so not renters, but. got it.
Correct.
Okay.
Commissioner Mohajer, please.
Thank you, Chair. As to the easement next to the, right next to that residence, I'm trying to recall where the T-Mobile tower was, but do they also use that easement, or is it just going to be AT&T?
Are you referring to the easement on the parcel? Mm-hmm. That easement is specifically for that parcel, so the alternative antenna has no use of that easement.
Okay, thank you.
To go back to the previous question about notification to the public, we also put out a legal ad notice in the newspaper.
Thank you. I don't believe there's any rebuttals. Do we have any questions to the public or the applicant from commission? I'm going to close the public hearing at this time and bring it back to the commission for discussion and a motion. Anyone?
Chair, I apologize if I missed it, but did we call for any of the public in attendance if they had any comments?
I didn't have any blue slips.
Okay.
I thought that was the procedure.
Correct. Thank you.
We good? I think we're good. Thank you. Back to the commission. Commissioner Dixon? Thank you.
Sure, I have a comment. I mean, I've been on the commission for a while, and I've never liked monopines. I always thought although it's more expensive, the microcells substantially more expensive, but obviously would be more pleasant looking to look at. That being said, the residents within 300 feet were notified. Evidently, nobody was upset enough at the prospect of this particular project being within eyesight. So I guess I could support this project.
Commissioner Mohajer?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I have to piggyback off of Commissioner Dixon. I think that, we all want the service. And if there's a gap, people are going to really want to receive that service. I think with these towers, we're worried that they're an eyesore. In this case, I don't think it's the case. I think it's actually a pretty good tower compared to the T-Mobile one. So kudos to you. I think that Yeah, I think I can support the project, just given the fact that there is such a gap, and then that comparison was definitely a good visual. Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for clarification, the 300-foot noticing is from property line, all corner, or all the extents of the project property to the adjacent parcel, or is it to the adjacent residence?
It's to the parcels. So from the very edges, boundaries of the parcel that the project is on. So it would go all the way up to the levee area because this parcel is so long and narrow. And it would be anywhere where a 300-foot radius, even if it just brushes the property line to an adjacent parcel, that parcel is included in the distribution of notice.
So if it hits, it's Merrill Gardens. So if it hits Merrill Gardens, it just goes to the owner, not to all the residents?
Correct. It would go to whoever the listed property owner, and we use the assessor tax records.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't have any other comment.
Yeah. Does staff discuss with applicants who are potentially putting what we euphemistically used to call monopines up, the type of monopine? I find it, I don't like any of them, but I find it odd that in every other part of the United States, people are trying to dig up eucalyptus and get rid of them. and we've managed to create a cyber eucalyptus, and so I'm kind of curious why that particular species was chosen.
Yeah, so the predominant reason for choosing the mono eucalyptus is because it requires a less height in the topping. So for example, the pines usually have about 10 feet of height that it goes unused at the very top in order to give it that realistic look, as opposed to a eucalyptus that's more full at the top. They're only using 5 feet extra.
Yeah. So in theory, this is to keep it from being 70 or 80 feet or 85 feet.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, sometimes I wish they were a little taller, because now we have this situation where we have two towers adjacent to each other. I'm really happy to hear that we're going to be mingling the towers in the future, and the fact that I'm not sure that the fact that we started with 9.5-4 is a plus, but it's good to know that at least there will be less people vying for these towers. We don't have a lot of jurisdiction over them here at the Planning Commission. It is a federally mandated item. So we do the best that we can with this. And it is nice to know that at least there won't be as many of them as could be, for your questions. Thank you, Commissioner Dickerson. This particular project, I've called a couple friends lately, and both of them have to move to one room to another to talk on their phone. They have dead spots in their houses, which obviously is an inconvenience. So I'm guessing that this is going to help that. So I could see supporting this project. At this time, I would be looking for a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that the Planning Commission approve Plan Development Permit PD 2024-001 and Conditional Use Permit U 2024-002.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Mahajer,
Aye.
Commissioner Dickerson,
Oh, my mic's working. Aye.
Commissioner Lopez,
Aye.
Chair Seifert.
Aye. Motion passes. I guess we'll be seeing your mono eucalyptus pine. Thank you very much. Cyber. Okay, we're going to go to our original first item right now, item number 5A, Bradley Commercial Plan Development and Conditional Use Permit and Tentative Parcel Map. Staff, can we have a presentation, please?
Excuse me, Chair, I have to recuse.
Yes, Mohajer, and I believe you need to, yes, thank you.
I need to recuse. My employer has a financial interest in the proposal and the development. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Have a nice night.
Good night.
We're ready to roll.
Okay, thank you, Chair Seifert. Good evening. I'm Cody Graybell, Senior Planner with the City, and I'll be presenting Bradley Commercial Plan Development, Conditional Use Permit, and Tentative Parcel Map, proposing a drive-through Starbucks, a Quick Quack drive-through car wash, and a tentative parcel map to create 3 parcels. And one item associated with this will include the demolition and removal of an existing restaurant, and that'll be shown on an upcoming slide. And this item was introduced at the May 16th study session, and the map was heard by the subdivision committee and recommended for approval on July 2nd. The project's located along the eastern
Cody,
edge of the city.
Excuse me, just one moment, please. Excuse me for that, thank you. Go ahead.
Sure, no worries. So the project's located along the eastern edge of the city, and it includes 2 vacant restaurant pads that have since closed, and they include Hometown Buffet and Roadhouse Grill. And the 2 existing restaurant pads were developed with separate plan development permits, reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission in the mid to late 1990s. The area surrounding the site has been built out with commercial uses. To the north is an Applebee's, to the south is a vacant theater and a Taco Bell, to the west is a Office Depot, and to the east of the site is Highway 101. The site is 3.7 acres, and closer to South Bradley is the Roadhouse Grill that would be demoed and removed for the car wash, and then towards the middle of the site is the vacant Hometown Buffet building. There is a proposed reuse of that building that's not a part of this permit because it is permitted in the C2 zone, and that's going to be to establish a commercial realty office. And the existing parking lot, landscaping, and planting areas, as well as most of the trees, would be removed and replaced as part of this project. The existing commercial driveway from South Bradley Road will serve as the primary access point into and out of the site, and there'd be secondary access from East Enos Drive into and out of the site. This is a perspective from the corner of South Bradley Road and the commercial driveway if you were looking northwest, and in the backdrop is the Roadhouse Grill that will be demoed and removed. So 3 parcels are proposed, as mentioned before, as part of the tentative parcel map that range in size from 0.7 to 1.7 acres. And access is going to remain based off the current design, primarily from South Bradley Road into and out of the site along the commercial driveway. And there's both left and right turning movements that are currently available that would remain. There's 17,400 square feet of total development proposed if you count the repurposing of the former Hometown Buffet restaurant into the commercial realty office. The Starbucks will be on parcel A at the corner of the site located here. It would be approximately 3,200 square feet in size, and then the car wash will be on parcel B, the northernmost parcel, and it's just over 3,500 square feet in size. And parcel C, which is a flag lot, will contain the existing Hometown Buffet building to be repurposed. And there's 20% site-wide landscaping, which meets code, and there is a surplus in parking. There's almost 50 more parking spaces than are needed based off our code, and there's landscape berms and shrubs proposed along South Bradley Road here and here that would screen the drive-through queue lanes from the street. So there's 3 driveways that are existing that would remain as part of the on-site circulation plan, and each driveway would service a different component of the 3 buildings that are proposed. The first driveway would provide access for the car wash at the back of the site. Driveway 2 would provide access for the proposed office reuse, and driveway 3 would provide access for the Starbucks. And there is adequate width for each driveway to provide 2-way circulation in and out of the site. A couple conditions to discuss tonight. One is a reciprocal access and parking agreement that's required as part of the tentative parcel map to ensure the on-site circulation plan will remain. Another is a wayfinding plan. It's a condition of approval of the PD permit, and it's really just signage to ensure that folks that are trying to get to the back of the car wash won't get lost while navigating the site. And one item to point out is at the middle of the site, there will be bollards that limit access to emergency responders only. And this is meant to avoid any conflicts between a vehicle that would potentially be trying to queue into the Starbucks drive-through lane, competing to get around a vehicle that would want to access the car wash queue. So this was the initial plan that we saw, on-site circulation plan at study session, and there were some concerns from the commission about the 4th driveway proposed. So the applicant did remove that driveway, and now the Starbucks queue lane would exit back to the middle of the site and utilize driveway 3. So parcel A contains the Starbucks. It's 0.7 acres, and it's located at the southeast corner of the site. And it includes a combination of indoor and outdoor seating, as well as a drive-through. The building is approximately 2,300 square feet, shown in green, and then there's approximately 850 square feet of outdoor patio area just to the west of the site, shown here. Parking for 29 vehicles is provided, and 28 spaces are required per code, and queuing for up to 17 vehicles at the drive-through is proposed, which exceeds the expected number of vehicles that would queue at any given time. So the outdoor patio area that's just in this dashed area to the west of the site would be enclosed with a tile structure that we're going to see on a couple slides. And there is seating for 15 customers proposed indoors and 24 outdoors. So these are the elevations for the Starbucks. As proposed, the south elevation is the main entrance at the top of the screen, and then the north elevation would be the drive-through queue lane window. And then the west and east elevations represent the back and the front of the building. So the east elevation would face South Bradley, and the west would face the middle of the site. The building would be 20 feet tall, and materials proposed include simulated wood siding, concrete block veneer, and cement tiles at the patio cover. So here's the patio cover that's partially enclosed with the cement tiles. And this is perspective looking down the drive-through lane as you would enter and approach the pickup window. So parcel B would contain the Quick Quack car wash, and it's 1.3 acres in size, and it's at the northernmost portion of the site. So vehicles would navigate to driveway 3 that we saw earlier and pass by the commercial office building. And again, we'll have a wayfinding sign program in place to ensure navigation is clear for customers. And the building, as proposed, would be 3,588 square feet, and parking for 9 vehicles is provided, and 9 spaces are required per code. So after vehicles would navigate to the back of the site, they would enter the queue and stay in their vehicle the entire time. They would pay at a pay station in this rectangular area, navigate through the car wash, and then exit the site. If they would like to, they could choose to vacuum their vehicles. There's 22 vacuum stalls proposed, and those are in these 2 rectangular dashed areas shown on the screen. And staff did look at the queuing very closely, and the 30 vehicles proposed is much more than we would ever expect to see at a car wash. The elevations would be 26 feet tall at the highest point at the tower elements, and the materials include stone wainscoting, concrete, stucco, aluminum storefront, faux window systems, as well as a standing seam flat metal roof The east elevation at the bottom represents the car wash entrance, and then the west elevation represents the exit lane. So the east elevation would be what faces South Bradley. And there is an earth tone paint scheme proposed that's consistent with surrounding development, and it does include light yellow and amber accents. And then the images in the bottom right corner represent some of the accessory structures, such as the pay station, as well as the car wash vacuum carports. And this is the initial design that staff originally received from the applicant that we did work with to kind of tone down a little bit the accent colors proposed. So the bright green and yellow accents have been replaced with a more neutral southwest design as described by the applicant. So this would face South Bradley Road with the car wash entrance shown on the screen. This rendering would face the middle of the site where vehicles exit. And here's parcel C. This is for the existing building that would be reused to a commercial realty office space. It's a flag lot, and it's 1.7 acres in size. And there's no expansion of the existing building proposed. The former Hometown Buffet restaurant has since closed, and it's now being converted to an office building use, which is permitted in the C2 zone. And there is parking for 69 vehicles, and 41 spaces are required. Environmental review was completed for the project, and staff did determine that it is eligible for a Class 32 categorical exemption for infill development. No further environmental review is required for CEQA, and we also did work with Public Works to review a traffic analysis report for the project, and we agreed with the conclusions that the project would not have negative impacts on the surrounding streets and create undue concentrations of traffic. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission take the following actions: by resolution, approve tentative parcel map TR 2023-0004, and by motion, approve plan development permit PD 2023-0019 and conditional use permit U 2023-0019. That concludes my presentation. Thank you. Staff and the applicant are available for questions.
Thank you very much, Cody. Do we have any ex parte on this? I don't.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I did have a communication with Brian Schwartz of UPC prior to this meeting.
Thank you. I did not. Do we have any questions for staff?
I do.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cody, can we take a look at those 3D renderings for the Quick Quack?
So yes, Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, so that's different than the plan set, or I'm sorry, the elevations on A 4.01, the wainscoting or those faux columns that are on the, I guess, the south side show those vertical elements. That flat stone goes all the way up.
See, just Commissioner Lopez to clarify.
Okay.
So on the south element facing the queuing area, is that?
Yeah, let me. Oh man, these things are small. So I'm looking at the south elevation. I just can't find the. I think it was like sheet 404 or something. Sorry, I have a slow connection here.
Exterior elevations are A3 and A301.
Okay, 1 second.
A4 and 401 have the color elevations.
Okay, I'm caught up, yes. So looking at the south elevation,
Right, so
I do see the columns that you reference.
Right, and on this, it looks like there's a stucco finish. On the elevations, it looks like it's the flat stone or the.
Right. So if I could clarify, typically, Commissioner Lopez, we rely on the elevations, not the renderings. So when staff would do their plan check, we would look at the approved plans and ensure that they're built per the plan set.
But the ones that are on the elevation is the proposal, not the rendering.
Do you want to clarify?
Chair, members of the commission, that is correct. We go by the plans that were submitted as part of the application. And the renderings that are displayed for the PowerPoint are secondary, a secondary source. So if the columns, as shown on the A4 drawing, show stone facing, that's what will be required at the time of building permit review.
Okay. All right. It just looks, to me, it looks a little different.
If the chair, members of the commission, if the commission had a preference for a different look than what is shown on sheet A4, the commission has.
Do you have that, Frank, that we could see on the screen here, A4? Is that something we can?
We don't have it available. We could try to pull that up. It may take us a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's not working on mine.
Yeah, it's very slow.
It's just kicking back, so I'm not able to see it.
Yeah. Bear with me just one moment.
Thank you.
These guys here. These guys there. Just looks weird.
So I think you're correct.
Oh, but these things here, I don't know, what are those things?
It's stone.
Right. Just looks a little funky.
Kind of does. Stucco looks a little better.
Yeah.
Is there any other difference to the one? In other words, is it just that, or is there correlations and everything else?
This pops out.
I believe that's south.
Yeah. 401. Yeah. Okay.
No, that's north.
No, but this
What
is,
he's trying to do is follow this part for the stone going up.
Right.
But
Looks-
this looks nice with that.
anyway, that's what Mr. Chairman, that's what I was, just want to make sure that the rendering was not what we're looking at. We're looking at the elevations, and just looks a little different. Anyway,
Do you have a preference?
I think they almost need to be, I think stucco would look better, but maybe not so high,
I think the rendering looks better than this.
right?
Chair, members of the commission, we might also ask the applicant which of the two versions they're proposing to clarify.
Which is it? So we're going with the stone all the way up?
That is correct. If I can, if you want me to-
Please. Are you doing the presentation tonight, Brian?
I am.
We might as well just go right into that.
Okay.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, commissioners, members of the public. Brian Schwartz, Urban Planning Concepts. I think I'll just start out by trying to answer your question before I go into introductions and some other points about the project. But the renderings were provided to provide somewhat of a more lifelike visual. They are examples of other Quick-Quack projects. We also have Quick-Quack representatives on the line through the Zoom that can probably give you more context of that. But they wanted it to provide examples of other Quick-Quack and similar styles of a Southwest flavor that would be not exactly the same as the plans, but very similar and a little bit more lifelike with the cars and the different perspectives that you get from renderings. I'm not sure. Hopefully that answers your question. If there are preferences on the architectural details, they are online, they are on Zoom. I could also have their architect, we could bring them up, have them discuss it a little bit more, get additional clarification and or receive your input on that.
Commissioner Lopez?
No, I just, thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I wanted to get some clarification. I just wasn't, I think the stucco looks better, but, you know, that's, I'm just one of three, so. And is this correct, this elevation? It shows the north elevation.
I believe it's flipped.
It is flipped, right?
I believe so. I believe the south is the north and the north is the south.
If the cars are entering there, that would be the east elevation. That is the elevation facing Bradley as shown.
Yes. It's actually the plan set that I believe we're referring to. I'm having a heck of a time getting it up on my computer. It's not, it just won't let me. But according to the set that you have here that we were handed, it certainly looks to me like they are flipped. I believe that the north elevation is showing the drive-through area with the queuing. I could be, and I believe the south elevation seems to be the side that the vacuums would be on.
Yeah.
If I could clarify, it may just be a matter of being mislabeled, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's just, I think we caught it. So to get back to this elevation, are we going to do anything with this? The stucco columns, because the rendering actually looks really nice as far as having the stone go up. I'm not a big fan of that either.
Yeah, Chair, I agree with both of you. I like the stucco coming up. I like the stone along the bottom, but I think it does look nicer with the stucco going up. So if they're amenable to that, I think that's what they're.
I don't think the applicant will have any issues with that. That seems like a request. They are going to be online. They can raise their hands and they can talk about that and the architecture and answer any further questions about architecture if you like.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you.
Great. So just to kind of start from the beginning, thank you, staff, for a really good presentation. We don't have a PowerPoint tonight. We're just going to make a few comments. Did want to recognize the numerous people that we have from our team online, including QuickQuack, Starbucks, and some other consultants. I did want to recognize some of our team members and the applicant who's in the audience tonight. John Pierce is the applicant with Tower, and I think he'd like to come up and make a couple comments too after I'm done. And then we also have Pat Palangi and Chris Gardner from Pacifica. So we're pleased to be able to bring you this project tonight for a number of reasons, but also, first off, to be able to give Pacifica a new home, reutilize the Hometown Buffet building and have a new source of employment right there, near services, compatible services, revitalize this portion of a older center, kind of an aging center, and revitalize it. It is near the freeway along Bradley, so having new landscaping, new buildings, new signage will really enhance that and hopefully encourage more redevelopment right in that older center, provide a little bit more tax base for the city as well. I think Cody mentioned that this project meets or exceeds all the development standards and the zoning standards. We did a number of studies, noise, air quality, traffic, they all came out negative. Thus the CEQA exemption before you this evening. I think he also mentioned that it went to subdivision review. There was unanimous support for that. And when it went to the study session, one of the concerns was the drive-through exit. We've realigned that to be safer, more efficient. We've read the staff report. We've read the conditions of approval. We agree with those. Our team is here to answer any further questions. And with that, I think I'll bring up John Pierce to make any final comments, and then we're going to be available for questions.
Thank you, Brian.
Mr. Chairman,
Could you hang on just 1 second?
Okay.
Thank you. And then once we start, just state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is John Pierce. My address is 250 West Main Street in Woodland, California, 95695.
Thank you.
I'm part of Tower Investments, and we are the managing member of the LLC that owns this particular piece of property. We've actually done some initial investment in the same shopping center. We just closed this week on the site where the Red Lobster is. So we are excited about working City of Santa Maria and continuing our investments here. The only other comment I would like to make is at the study session, there was some of the comments about the car wash and number of car washes. I would like to let you know that there was significant interest from different car wash companies in this location. We went with Quick Quack primarily because of the quality of this particular operator. They happen to own and operate a Quick Quack next to our offices in Woodland. I also moved about 3 years ago to the Central Coast from Rockland, and Quick Quack was the car wash operator that was in Rockland that we use. So they do a really good job. So I think they're going to be a good addition to the city, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Do we have questions? No, I think we got a nice study session with you guys, and I think we fielded some questions, asked some questions, and got some answers. So thank you very much for being here tonight. Appreciate it.
Chair, members of the commission, we do have another representative from the car wash who has their hand up and is available.
That would be great. Please let him in.
All right, thank you.
Answer any questions. I'm pleased to be here tonight to address any comments or concerns that you may have with our car wash. We are very open to design. We typically like our prototype because that's how they identify us, but we try to soften the colors when the community isn't pleased with our strong colors that attract our customers. And that's why we have that Southwest design. We have flexibility to be a little creative with the different types of elements that are included in our design. But those two, the prototype, which is the bold yellow, and the Southwest, which is the muted yellow, are our two main designs. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to help answer and try to work through any issues.
Thank you very much. Commissioners. Commissioner Dickerson, please.
Just a quick thing, and maybe you said it, but you're a little bit weak on this side. Are you okay with our proposal that you go with presentation picture of the yellow stucco versus for that elevation piece?
Commissioner, I'm not sure it has to be yellow, just stucco. The colors scheme, I don't think.
Well, the color scheme, I thought, was what was being presented. Yes, no?
Commissioner Lopez?
Yeah, I guess the thing that I was concerned with was that whether or not it was stucco, I think the colors of that were presented, I think are fine.
Right.
It was just the.
On the plan set.
On the
Commissioner
plan set.
Dickerson.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was.
This is completely different.
Yeah,
There you go. Right.
Yeah. That's the only thing I was stating.
yeah. Yeah, so the question was whether there was an option, if there was an option to go stucco on those pop-outs that appear like faux columns, if there was an option to maybe do those in stucco. That I think using the same material as the wainscot kind of looks a little different. And I don't know if you guys would be willing to look at a stucco element as opposed to that same stone material.
We would be happy to work with the city. What we're trying to do is avoid kind of a design, come in with multiple designs that critiques it over time, because we're speed to market to try to process this thing through. But if the lean is away from our rock columns and to a stucco, we can include that.
I think that was affirmative.
Okay, yeah, I can.
Okay.
And Chair Seifert and Commissioners, if I may, I just wanted to mention that the plan set mentions the color being called torchlight. That's that yellow sort of color that's on now. And so if this were to be incorporated into the project, we would just want to add a condition with the approval that the stone columns be completed in stucco and painted torchlight, which would match the color that's on the front of the and the rear of the building, if you like that color. But that's what's on the plans.
Personally, if you're saying that it should match the entrance archway color, the 4 columns should match that. That's the way I see it also.
Yeah, that's what I see.
And I think we have all the commissioners say yes. So yes, those elements should match.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions?
I don't have any other questions.
Okay, perfect. At this time, I'm going to open the meeting up to the public. Again, I don't have any blue slips up here. Do we have anyone on Zoom?
We currently have no raised hands on Zoom.
Okay, I'm going to move along to that. Do we have anyone in the audience who wish to speak? Seeing none. I don't believe we have any rebuttals. We've asked all of our questions. We're good? I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to bring it back to the commission for discussion and a motion. Commissioners.
Do we have any discussion?
I don't.
No? All right, then I'll go ahead and make the motion. I want to go ahead and make the motion for the resolution to approve tentative parcel map TR 2023-0004.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, but just real quick, I want to thank the design team for looking at revising that that driveway, realigning that drive-through. I think that was very nice of them to do that. I think it's a benefit to the property. With that said, I will second that motion.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Dickerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Chair Seifert?
Aye.
And then I will move on to propose the motion to approve Plan Development Permit PD 2023-0019 and Conditional Use Permit U 2023-0019 with the modification of the stucco and the coloration as discussed.
Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
And can I have, before roll call, I just wanted to say, Brian, that something I forgot to mention. Thank you so much for the added signage, because I do think that's going to be difficult for people to figure out whether they're going to Starbucks or Pacifica or the car wash. So I'm not sure what you have in mind there, but it needs to be fairly clear. And thank you for doing that.
There's a very good condition associated with the project for the wayfinding signage, and it'll make it very easy, much easier for people to locate their services that they're looking for.
Perfect, thank you. Then I approve of this. Thank you.
You want to call for a vote? We
Where
need
are
a
we at?
vote.
I need a
first and
roll call?
second. Yeah, roll call. There we
We're on a
go.
roll call. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Dickerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Chair Seifert?
Aye.
There you go.
You guys are good to go? Thank you very much for being here tonight. Appreciate it, Brian. Okay, at this time, we're going to go to item number 6, other business, oral reports from planning commissioners and staff. Do we have any reports?
Yes, thank you, Chair Seifert and Commissioners. We have a study session that is scheduled tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. It is going to be held at the Community Development Department Conference Room at 110 South Pine Street. Shepherd Hall was not available tomorrow, so we'll be back in our conference room there. And then the September 4th and September 5th dates, we do not have any items that are going to be ready for those dates, so we would be canceling those meetings. And then the next time we would be scheduled to meet would be a hearing on September 18th and a study session on September 19th. So looking at the end of the year, we do have a busier hearing schedule going towards the end of the year. We have a number of projects that that we've been working on that are getting close to being ready to come to your commission. So we're still going to try to keep the number of items at each meeting within reason and not have too many at one meeting, but I did want to mention that so you know that the meetings will be more frequent towards the end of the year. And that's the only update that I have unless you have any questions. Thank you.
Commissioners? Commissioner Dickerson?
Yeah, I don't have questions regarding those, but I did have a comment that I wanted to make, and that was that, you know, over the last few years, something that has kind of disturbed me a little bit, and then it kind of slid to a further thing this evening. I didn't want to bring it up during the last item, but for landscaping in particular, the presentations that we receive often are substantially optimistic as to how the landscaping is going to look, and the presentations are prettied up quite a bit, and they're substantially different than oftentimes the plans. And it's disturbed me, and I brought it up a few times, and that's fine, but it's coming on, you know, trees towering 30 feet up when they're putting in, you know, 8-foot trees, that sort of thing. It kind of annoys me. But now it's slid, and I was unaware of this until this evening, that the presentation architecture now can be different than the plan. So we can be approving something, and if we haven't caught the fact that something was different in the plans than the presentation, we might very well be thinking that we were approving that, when in point of fact we're approving this. And so I'm just wondering if these things ought to sync up in some manner, so then what we're approving is what we have been presented.
Yes, Commissioner Dickerson, thank you for that comment. I actually wrote a note that our future presentations are going to include the elevations from the plans because, as Mr. Albro mentioned, what gets approved is what's in the project plans. Oftentimes, applicants provide us with renderings because it's more of a 3D real-life look of the project, and tonight there was a difference there. So in the future, when we bring projects to you, we will show you the architecture directly from the plans. We may have a rendering, but we as staff will make sure that it's accurate.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, I don't mind if they have a rendering. I mean, it does look nice. I do understand that that's a good way of marketing it and selling it to us, but it would be nice if they synced up with the plans. And since you're going down that road, it would also be nice if the landscaping were more or less the same thing, so we see what's being planted, not 10 or 20 years down the road.
Well, it's not what's being planted, Commissioner, it's what's going to be growing.
If they water it. How many times have we seen a tree that just dies? Doesn't tower 30 feet up, it just dies. Anyway, just a thought.
Okay, thank you.
And that's a good thought. Thank you for bringing that up. Anything else? Staff? Anything? Commissioners? We're adjourned.
Thank you, Chairman.
Nice. I am officially on vacation.